once I got out of the school system, there was a direct correlation between me just remembering and waking up and just reclaiming and all these experiences that I did have a kid that I had forgotten as I was a kid that I forgot. And then it just all came flooding back, and it was like, this is what you're meant to do. You're supposed to talk about these things and remember all these experiences.
And in your experience then, diet played a role at all in terms of your ability to channel, to, to remember, to sort of be fluid with the spiritual universe beyond?
Yeah, there's a direct correlation, I would say, in all people, of us being able to turn on this kind of genetic disposition of our higher aspect, and then diet being able to assist that. And for me, just circumstantially, I was raised vegetarian, and that was always a big theme of kind of go in this direction, and it always has really allowed me to be capable of perceiving more.
But so, I mean, in terms of the high vibration diet, I mean, certainly you're referring to vegetables, things that are basically full of chlorophyll, right, fueled by the sun. But you really, I mean, what else would you describe as sort of high vibrational foods?
Yeah, high vibrational foods would be anything that is full of life, so reinvigorated with life, or with healthy bacteria too. So you could think of like nuts and seeds, so sprouting, stuff like that brings it back to life, because we've been programmed kind of since the 50s that you boil it, you kill it because there's bacteria and it's bad. And so it's kind of bringing back bacteria, bringing back enzymes, so like through fermentation, right? So anything that's easily digestible, that has a higher nutrient density, absorption, all those kinds of things, so that we can get everything our body needs and get all of that energy, so the higher frequency. And we can see that even in organic versus conventional food with Kirlian photography. Like there's a direct, like you can see it visually.
There's more color, there's more light.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so this play of basically diet, would you say that it matters whether or not you're a starseed or not, like that all humans should be applying it because it will help them to embody here and access their soul? Because obviously it's not like we're saying if you're not a starseed, you don't have a soul and you don't have a consciousness, you don't have off-world experiences.
Right.
Obviously all beings have some kind of past life experiences and are seeded from other star systems, no? Or is it only these starseeds?
I would say that most souls have had some experience out there, definitely. And I feel like it's really important for all people to orient to a balanced diet or a high vibrational diet, because it'll just make their lives much better. Because there's parasites, there's all kinds of crazy things in our gut that actually determine our thoughts and make us have these certain emotions, have these certain thoughts. So it'll just make life better to actually balance the diet, and it'll make us happier. So it just makes life better.
But it does seem that there's a bit of a conspiracy, you could say, a conscious attempt to actually keep the population at a lower vibration through certain foods. I mean, whether it's GMOs and toxins and just overall like bad diets, right?
Yeah.
What do you see happening?
I would definitely agree. It's just, an attempt to keep us from realizing our true potential, like that we truly are source creators, and fully embodying that, right? Because it's that disassociation. So there's definitely an attempt, and it's one of those things where we have to stay really positive, because it can just be so overwhelming. You're just like chemtrails, GMOs, and you just start to kind of freak out.
Even the noise from news, for example, right? Fear and bad news and propaganda.
Yeah.
What are the major, would you say, low vibrational things that affect us on like a daily basis that you could point to and say these are things that you should be aware of and conscious of and try to cut out?
Well, I would start with one at a time, because the list will just kind of be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But GMO foods, all the pesticides, the air quality and the chemtrails, the water, it's kind of like a hacking of every type of element that we interact with has been compromised, even like Wi-Fi and cell phone towers. So it's just like, whoa, there's a bombardment of a lot. And that's why it's like, okay, one thing at a time. How can I just switch to organic? How can I just filter my water, go find spring water? Those kinds of things.
Do you think that ultimately this agenda comes from a higher source than just a human agenda?
Yeah.
There's an ET agenda behind it?
Yeah, I do feel like there's an ET agenda, and there's the other ET agenda. Which is the positive agenda of helping Earth awaken and what we're doing here and what we're talking about. And so it's, I think, key to keep those on the same page, because somehow like the negative orientation gets more press, gets more energy, and that feeds all of the problems. And so keeping up with the idea and truly tuning into the feeling that there's the benevolent side just as much that has even more power that's assisting us right now.
Mm-hmm. And so the ultimate like agenda that, let's say, the dark side would be what? Using these toxins to ultimately make us more service to self, or what, what is their purpose in this?
Yeah, to make us freak out, to make us angry, to make us fearful, to make us forget, and maybe even orient, who knows what it's actually doing to our genetics, like GMOs, right? We know that it's making us sick, and the transgenesis and all that is not good. We can see that, the negative effects. But what is it doing to the genetics that has the potential for, enlightenment or for good? And we don't quite know that yet. So, I mean, it probably is scarier than we think, but that's why at least just moving towards the positive is going to be helpful.
And even going down to the level of the way that animals are killed and consumed. I mean, how does that affect our biology, basically? The way that, a lot of the older religions talk about kosher and halal foods, for example, goes down to the way even that the animals are treated humanely and basically killed with an offering. Native American cultures, right, is a prime example where people see, paying honor and thanks to the animal, even praying over your food, how that can essentially change, right, the nature of what you're consuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the adrenaline, the fear, that's what is then encapsulated into the meat that then we would be consuming, and that's intense. You're eating adrenaline. So what's that going to do to your energy? It's going to put you in this fight or flight, make you angry, heated, those kinds of energies. So I agree with you, and when we can calm the animal, and I've had friends that have done this and fully calm the animal, the blood pressure goes down, everything is calmed, and that experience would be far different of a vibration. And that's just the animal, the way that we can treat it, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of prayer, for example, that's an ancient practice of praying over food, and even down to the scientific experiments about how plants listen, right? You can talk to plants, and there's a reaction. We know that water reacts to the vibration of words. So how is it that we can actually reprogram our food to basically benefit us more, to be more nutritious and raise our vibration?
Absolutely. Well, presence would be key, right? And I think that fast-paced culture where it's just grabbing something on the go and moving. I just heard that in Japan, if you're walking and eating at the same time, it's kind of bad posture, because it's that sitting with it and that presence and just that conscious attention is one, making it easier to digest. It's making everything move, salivation, but also it's the honoring. So whatever that looks like for you, and definitely putting our energy into it and making your own food, growing your own food, those kinds of things really add to the vibrational quality and the interaction. Even the genetics, if your sweat or your certain, even if your urine is with the soil, then the plants grow for you and have what you need. So there's an interaction. And I think that disconnection is what we've lost, is we just go to the grocery store and we grab something or we just eat something. And so it's really coming back into connection with our food and with nature itself.